Good evening, everybody. This is Manoli's Musings podcast, and I am your host, Manoli. Surprise, surprise. The day is April 14th, 2022. It is a Thursday. It is a thirsty Thursday, which I'm recording this before I go out on the town. There's only so many opportunities left in my college career to be going out, so I'm gonna take it. All right, take the bull by the horns and get going. Right. So, what did I do this week, or part of this week? I don't know. I went to class. I did my homework, and Wednesday I had to defend my senior thesis. I had to present it to my director and the other guy, and they told me I passed, so that's over. Woohoo! I just gotta get their signatures on my paper, and that's it. 4 years in the making. The thing is done. DONE done. Done with you. Senior thesis. Um, 50, 60 pages later, in a performance. So yeah, I had my thesis defense, and you know what happened? I said before I had my defense, the Dodgers were playing, and I was watching. It was Clayton Kershaw. It was his first start of the season, so I was watching. I was paying attention, and then I had to go defend my thesis, so I only got to see the first two innings, and they were perfect, but obviously, two innings perfect. I'm not going to make there's nothing extraordinary about that. Anyway, I finished my thesis defense. I'm like, oh hey, yeah, the Dodgers are still on. Let me see what's going on. Lo and behold, he's made it through 7 innings, perfect game on the line. I'm like, oh my gosh, he should have had a perfect game back in 2014, but it was Hanley Ramirez's error that I can't even say what I want to say. That stupid error that Hanley Ramirez made, I can't even watch it to this day. It makes me sick. It makes me want to go and throw up. The stupid error he made that cost Kershaw that perfect game. I'll never forget it. No hitter, yes, but basically he should have a perfect game if it weren't for Hanley Ramirez. Remember that? So those feelings came back. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to sit down and I got to watch this. He has 6 more outs for a perfect game. I got to sit down and watch it. So I ran to my living room. I put it on the TV. I sat down. I cracked open a beer because it's not baseball without having a beer, right? And I'm watching, and the Dodgers were still batting. It was the bottom of the seventh, and they hit three home runs back to back to back. I think it was Bellinger, Barnes, and who was the other one? Was it Max Muncy? I think so. Bellinger, Barnes, but I don't remember. Anyway, no. Muncy hit one later. I think it was Bellinger, Barnes, and Chris Taylor. Yeah, anyway, but that even got me more excited. It's like, oh my gosh, they're on fire. These Dodgers, they're all together. They're on fire. I can't wait to see Kershaw come back and try for the perfect game. Try to get the last 6 outs. He could do it. I know he could do it. He's only got 80 pitches. Going back for commercial break. Who's on the mound? It's not Kershaw. It's Alex Vesia. I'm like, what happened? What's the matter? Like, what is he hurt? No, he wasn't hurt. They yanked him 6 outs away from a perfect game. There's only been 27, 28 in baseball history. They pulled him out the game because they don't want to tire out his arm. Yes, they don't want to overwork Kershaw. Try to get 6 more outs in April. That's the difference between now that he didn't go out to pitch that perfect game or try for that perfect game. Now that means that we're automatically guaranteed to win the World Series. That's what some of these fans and Dave Roberts would have you believe. I was furious. Okay, I was so upset. I can't. I'm just the way that the game is going. I don't understand it. They wonder why people aren't watching baseball like they watch football or basketball or whatever. It's because of stupid crap like this. The number crunching. If I want to watch two computers play the game, I'll go put on the show on my PlayStation 5 and I'll just play against a computer. Or maybe I'll just simulate a game with two computers. That's what we get nowadays. Oh, he's throwing 80 pitches. It's too much. Oh, we got to get him out. Oh, yeah, like the extra 25 pitches that it might have taken to get a perfect game. That would have put him over the edge. His arm was going to catch on fire and blast off into outer space. Where is the heart? Where is the soul of baseball? What happened to it? It's just, we can't have a pitcher see the lineup 3 times in a row, 3 times in the game, blah 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 blah. Oh, I like this matchup here. It's just I can't stand it. I know it's Dave Roberts and the front office, and I know they talked to Kershaw, but it shouldn't even be a question. You have history on the line, history, and you don't go for it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I mean, what was going to happen to his arm? I mean, realistically speaking, was he? Is 6 more outs? Okay, yeah, but that doesn't mean he was guaranteed to get the 6 outs. He could have gone up there, gave a hit, and then you could yank him. At least let him try. At least let him try to do something that's been done only so many times. Ah, and I saw a stat. It was the only other time that somebody was perfect through 7 and got pulled from the game was Rich Hill, and it was He was for the Dodgers, and Dave Roberts was managing him. And that guy, he has no heart. There's no soul in what he does. He just stands up there. He gets the order from the computer or for the front office or wherever he gets it from. There's no risk involved. There's no energy. It's just dead. It's dead. It was really, really upsetting. I mean, I was so excited to watch him try to go for the perfect game and try to, I mean, that's like the one thing on his resume that he doesn't have, right? It's a perfect game. He should have it, but he doesn't. And I don't know. They're like, and all the fans on Twitter, they think they're so smart. They're like, well, we need a. I'd rather have a trophy. I'd rather have a ring in October than a perfect game in April. I'm like, are you that stupid that you think that a game in April is going to make a difference? That the last extra 20 pitches is going to make a difference in us winning the World Series? We better freaking win the World Series now. That's all I could say for these fans, or else I'm going to come back. I'm just going to have screenshots of every time some idiot said that. They think they're being pragmatic and smart, like this is the right thing to do because Kershaw. Oh, it was a short spring. His arm's tired. He was injured. Blah 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 blah. It's like, all right, then have him miss the next start. I don't understand this. Just have him miss the next start if it's that big a deal. That'll give him plenty of time to recover. Ugh. Yeah, I was really upset about that. Was not happy. Was that Tuesday? Was that yesterday? Tuesday. Hold on, let me check this. Oh, that was yesterday. It was, right? Yeah, it was yesterday. After that, they had a parade for the women's basketball team, the national champions, Gamecocks. Anyway, so my friends, they happen to live right on the parade route, and they have a balcony that overlooked the street. So I was like, huh. I was like, I knew they were going to watch the parade, and I just happened to go. I happened to be in the area, and so I'm like, wait a minute, I'm going to go walk by Nikki and Tiz's and see if they're out there. So I walk up, I walk up and I see them standing out on the balcony. I just start waving, hey, hey, let me up, let me up. And they're like, it's Manoli, I can't. I'm like, yeah, it's Manoli, let me up there. So they did. We watched the parade. It was fun, They had, I don't know, they had the president on their university. They had the mayor of the city. They had the team. They had the coach, Don Staley. It was fun to watch, It's kind of longish, but anyway, so we watched that. And I went to bed because I came back. I watched some Sopranos because I was still upset about the Kershaw thing, and I don't know, something about the Sopranos. It's as twisted and as weird as it sounds. It's something comforting about it. So I watched the episode I happened to be on was the intervention episode, which is so funny. You're weak. You're out of control. And you're an embarrassment to yourself and everybody else. One day I came in to see your head in the toilet. Your hair was in the toilet water. Disgusting. Oh, why that show's so funny. I think that's why it's so good. Some dramas, they try to be so serious. In The Sopranos, it was so funny at the same time. It's just a genius show. I mean, obviously my favorite, but I love that show. Anyways, but I decided not to go out last night because I had to be up. Oh boy, here we go. I had to be in Charleston for a dental appointment at 12:30 the next day, today, Thursday. So I said, no, I'm going to take it easy. I'm just going to stay home. I watched The Sopranos. I watched some Gordon Ramsay. Yeah, that's my idea of relaxing is watching an angry Scottish chef curse and yell at people. Speaking of which, my neighbors must love me. Every time I watch baseball, it just the things I shout out at the top of my lungs is just I can't demonstrate. There's no way for me, possibly for me to censor it. Just use your imagination. Uh, the obscenities that they must get through their walls while I'm watching baseball is just wow. I don't know. Something about it just brings there's this primal urge in me. It just comes out when I'm watching baseball. I'm like, yeah, it's horrible. But I love baseball, so that's why this thing makes me so upset. I will never get over this. Okay, unless we win the World Series this year, I ain't getting over it. Okay, take it to the bank. Anyway, so I got up, the next day to go to my dental appointment. I drove all the way down to Charleston, which is about a little less than 2 hours. I listened to a Mozart opera on the way. It's feeling good. I drove right to the dentist. I didn't stop by my house, even though they're basically next to each other. Um, Drove right to the dentist. I walk in. They're like, "Oh, are you Manoli?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Your mother called and she said you weren't coming." I said, "What now?" She said, "Yeah." She said you were in school and you're not going to come to your appointment. I'm like, um, she didn't ask me if. I'm like, "Are you sure that she said that?" They're like, "Yeah, she canceled your appointment." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I drove, 2 hours to be here. They're like, "I don't know what to do." I'm like, "Well, do you have any other times?" They're like, "Well, maybe at 4 you can come in, but this person, he may or may not show up. I don't know." I said, "Okay, just put me down for 4 and let me know if they call, okay?" Like, all right. So, so I didn't say anything. I'm not upset with my mother, but because I don't know, she's my mother. How can I be upset with her? But it was amusing, just the what happened. So I decided to milk it for all it's worth. I just showed up at my front door. I didn't even tell her I was in town. I knock on the door, and my little brother runs to answer because he had a half day of school. He goes, "It's Manoli! Manoli's here!" And I walk in, and I'm looking at my mother, and she's like, "Why are you here?" I'm like, "Do you have any reason? Do you have any idea why I might be here?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "Are you sure?" To think about it. She's like, "Well, wait, did you come for that dental appointment?" I'm like, "Yeah. What happened? Why did you cancel it?" She's like, "I kept getting texts." I'm like, "Well, I don't know why you were getting texts. It was my appointment." She's like, "I kept getting texts, and I figured you booked it, and you didn't know it was an accident, so I just canceled it for you." I'm like, "Well, I'm here now." And she's like, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, "It's okay. I wasn't that upset. It was just, it did kind of throw a wrench in my day, but it's all right. It's okay. It's all right, Ma. I know you're listening to this." It was just funny. Anyway, so the lady calls me back while I'm talking to my mother. She's like, "Oh, it turns out we can see you at 4. I'm so sorry." And I looked, like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's not your fault." As I'm looking at my mother. I was just messing with her, but it's okay. It's not that big a deal. It's just funny that happened. So yeah, I had 3 hours to kill at that point, so I went and got some sushi at the place nearby. Um, and lo and behold, I order 2 rolls. They bring out the wrong one. I said, "Hey, wait a minute, where's my crazy salmon roll?" They're like, "Oh, I rolled it up as a crunchy salmon. I mean, I put it in as a crunchy salmon." I'm like, "Oh, that's too bad." She's like, "Well, you could have the crunchy salmon." I'm like, Thank you. I'll take the free sushi any day." What is this? Twice in a 2 week period, I get free sushi? This is unbelievable. I mean, the sushi forces, the sushi deities, they're like looking down on me. They're saying they blessed me. The sushi, whoever controls the sushi in the universe, they blessed me. Um, but yeah, whatever. I don't know what's going on with the sushi, but that's the second time in a very short period that I got free sushi. I couldn't eat it all. I ate like 2.5 rolls, which is more than enough. So I do that. I go home. I visit with my little brother. We do, lightsaber fight or whatever it is that we were doing. He was obviously excited to see me. He wasn't expecting me. Nobody was. Yeah, but I go back. I go back to the dentist office, and I'm nervous. Okay, because you know, when you're not been flossing right, and you go to the dentist, and it's like, I mean, I feel like I need a lawyer for when I go to the dentist. The way that they interrogate you when you don't floss, it's horrible. I mean, it's like I get so nervous. I don't know. I don't know why I care so much, but they just something about the way that these hygienists take it. They take it so personal when you haven't been flossing as much. They're like, oh, well, you know, it's such a shame that you have such beautiful teeth and it's just gonna fall out, and because you're not flossing as much, and you know what happens when you get gum disease? It infects your whole body. Yes, yes. If you don't floss, you're gonna have heart failure. You're gonna die. Okay, that's what's gonna happen to you if you don't floss. Some of them were like that. There's this one lady I used to go to. She was 100% like that. I mean, every time I looked at floss, I would see her face just floating in the air in front of me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta floss because this lady. I don't want to see her cry next time I go in there. I haven't flossed as much. But it's always so weird at the dentist. I don't know. Of course, it wasn't a good thing I had to, waste my day on. It was the freaking dentist. This is how it goes for me. Okay, this is Manoli's life. Thank God I got the free sushi. That was my heavenly reward for sitting through the dentist disaster. Um, I go into the dentist office and I'm back. I'm back. And there's this old lady sitting there, and I'm like, and I go sit down in the waiting room, and her hygienist comes out, and she's all smiling. It's like, Mister So and So, we're ready for you. I'm happy to see you. How are you? And the old lady just responds, I don't feel like doing this. Oh my gosh. I don't feel like doing this. That's exactly what she said. I'm like, did I hear that right? I'm like, man, I want to be this lady one day. Just throw it out there. I don't want to be here. It's like, really? I mean, I think the hygienist, she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I just, I sat there for a second. I'm like, am I hearing this? And I think I laughed for a solid. It's just the candor, the honesty that that woman did. Just, I want to be her. I don't want to be her, but I want to be like her. I don't, I don't want to do this. I don't feel like doing this. I'm like, man, I don't feel like doing it either. I wasted my whole day on this crap. Anyway, I go back there. I walk past the hallway. They have the Smile Hall of Fame is what they have. And lo and behold, who's in the Smile Hall of Fame on my dentist wall? It's not me. It's my mother. My mother staring at me with her perfect teeth, taunting me. Because my teeth aren't as perfect as hers. She got put on the Wall of Fame, the Hall of Fame. My mother at the dentist office. I go to sit down, and thank God it wasn't the one hygienist that gets so upset when you don't floss. I sit down, and it was the same lady as last time, and I noticed that she appeared to be pregnant, but I didn't want to ask because I always learned you never ask. You never ask if someone is pregnant. You just kind of let it'll come up in conversation, and it did because she's like, "Oh, I just got back from Greenville. Somebody threw me a baby shower." I'm like, "Oh, congratulations!" And I'm like, I was gonna say, but I didn't want to put it out there. Oh, God forbid you weren't. And she's like, "Oh yeah, imagine if I wasn't, you would have been asking what the hell happened to you." It started laughing. That's the most personality I've ever got from the hygienist, by the way. They're very doom and gloom. The hygienists, it always goes back to death with these people. You didn't brush one time. Well, I'm sorry, you got the plague. It was nice knowing you. Nice knowing you. The dentist is going to come in. He's going to give you the coup de grace right in the back of your head. because you ain't gonna make it but another 6 weeks, and you're gonna die an agonizing death because you didn't use mouthwash that one time. That's how they are, these hygienists. I'm telling you. Anyway, I sit down. They lean me back. She puts the goggles on me. I don't know what it is that they do. It's like they blow air on your teeth. They come in with that thing and they start scraping, is scraping away. I'm like, oh, the sound is just uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. And the lady, she's like, "You're doing a good job at flossing at home." I'm like, "Excuse me." I'm like, "I flossed like twice before I came here, but I'm sorry. I don't want to admit to this. I know you people think highly of me, but I haven't been flossing as much as I could be." Uh, she's like, "You're doing a good job. There's just some things and technique that you could be doing differently." I'm like, "Oh, there's technique now. There's a technique to floss." I mean, my God, I didn't think I was learning how to tightrope walk over here. Oh, the dentist. It's always like that, though. It's always something. And the dentist didn't actually have to see me, but the lady before I go, she says, "All right, next time you come, we got to give you a tooth wing." I'm like, "A what?" She's like, "You got to have a tooth wing." I'm like, "What the hell is that?" I mean, what are you're gonna put a bat up there or a bird or something in my teeth? I'm like, "What is a tooth wing?" She's like, "Oh, it's just an X-ray." I'm like, "I'm sorry, I don't know the technical terms." She's like, "Oh, there's gonna be a quiz." I'm like, "Ugh." And like the names that they have for these things, it's like I don't know what the I don't understand the dentist. It's crazy. I mean, it's so nerve wracking. I mean, you feel like you're on trial for murder over here when you go to the dentist. It's just very severe. A tooth wing. What is that? What is that? I don't know. And the lady, I mean, God bless her. And this is how the whole thing happened because they book you like 6 months out. I'm like, "Ma'am, I don't know what I'm going to be doing 6 months from now. I am just trying to get through the day. That's all I'm trying to do. Every day is a every day is a gift, right? Why's it gotta be a pair of socks?" Um, I'm just like, "Man, whatever you have is fine. Hey, I'll make it work. Just book it, whatever." She's like, "Well, would 3 o'clock be good?" I'm like, "Ma'am, I don't even know if I'm gonna be alive 6 months from now. You don't know what's gonna happen." I don't understand these long range planning. It's like a question on every interview. What's your 5 year plan? It's like, I don't know. I was trying to make it to 23. Why am I gonna? I'm not worried about 28 now or 27, whatever it would be. Can he do math? He's Greek. They invented math. He should be able to. Um, I'm like, "Man, whatever you have is fine. Just please book it." I don't know what it is. It's like people keep asking me. I've had like no less than 5 or 6 people within the past month or so. They're like, "Do you think you'll live in Charleston forever?" I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. I got a job. I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna play it by ear. Am I gonna? This one girl, I swear, she asked me, "Where do you think you'll die?" I'm like, "I don't know. It hasn't really crossed my mind. Maybe I'll die after this conversation." That's how awkward it was. I'm like, "What is this?" Everybody keeps asking me. They're like, "You think you're gonna stay here forever? You think you'll be there forever?" It's like, I'm 22 years old. I don't even know what forever is. I'm trying to take it one day at a time. Every day is, I gotta make it through with every day. I'm just plowing ahead. Manoli knocks it out. He takes it as it comes. He rolls with the punches. He plays it by ear. He's the great improviser, Manoli, as he messes up every other sentence on this podcast because for some reason I can't speak whenever I'm talking to y'all. But I'm like, whatever it is that you have for my dental appointment, it's fine to get my tooth wing. My teeth are gonna fly off into the sky. That's what they're gonna do. A tooth wing. Well, who called it that? Who made that up? I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. Where do you think you'll die? I'm like, hopefully happy. I think what she meant was like, "Do you want to retire in Greece?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I would love to. Ideally, I would want to have a summer home in Greece and go back and forth. But we'll see how it goes." I'm putting it out there, people. Okay, those are my two things I'm putting out there. They better win the World Series, the Dodgers, after the crap that they pulled with Kershaw this past game. And I better die in Greece or retire in Greece. Okay, I'm putting it out there. I mean, what a morbid question to ask them. Where do you think you'll die? I don't know. I don't want to think about it. What am I, 22? Who knows how long I have left? As I finished up there, I go back. I go back to Colombia. I came here. I wanted across the street to the brewery. I got a beer. I got a hot dog because I'm the epitome of health over here. This is great Lenten fasting, by the way. I'm just blowing it. I was in a well, Manoli, you were in a hurry because your friends want to meet you about right now, and you needed to get something fast, so you went across the street. Yes, voice in my head, the voice of logic. But I'm going to feel guilty about it anyway because it's Lent and I shouldn't be eating meat. I feel guilty. But it happened, and it happened. What did I listen to on the way back? Oh, Abduction by Mozart. Abduction from the Seraglio. Great opera, one of my favorites. Yeah, it's one of the ones I like to sing. It's mean. It's a very fun arias there. It's nice to listen to on the way back. And then I came in. I'm like, I'm going to record a podcast before I go out. But that's it for me. What's going on with Twitter? Elon Musk wants to buy it. I don't know. I think it's amazing that this guy has $40 billion to throw at this dog. I just don't see Twitter being worth that kind of money. But he hasn't been wrong yet. I guess he knows what he's doing. But my goodness, must be nice. I mean, listen, the guy could spend 40-something $billion on this, and he'd still be over $200 billion rich. I mean, that takes some doing. Oh, I saw this thing on Elizabeth Holmes. My friend and I were talking about her. I mean, can you believe this lady? I mean, just the psychoticness of this woman. The way that she would go out, she would go, yes, well, we tested the product. It works very well with that fake baritone voice and those eyes, those bug eyes just staring out at you. And her hair all frazzled. It looked like it was a haystack or something on her head. It looked like if you touched it, it would just fall out. And like some bugs would come crawling. I mean, that lady is disturbing. I'm so glad that it turned out she was a fraud and they got her. They called her that lady because that lady's freaky, man. If you don't know who I'm talking about, just look up a clip of her talking and you'll completely understand what I'm talking about within 60 seconds, okay? Wow, I'm in a ranty mood today. Elizabeth Holmes. Yeah, that was some messed up crap that she did. But all right, I think this is going to do it for today. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon. I have a guest coming on soon. I think he's coming on. He asked me if he could come on the show, so I said, sure, why not? Come on. It's a party. So I'll have him on. And that's it. Have a great rest of the evening, and I'll see you soon.